But basically, I'm in the business of Ben. And what I want to get you comfortable with is being in the business of you. Being in the business of promoting yourself, but not by saying, I'm great, okay? Because nobody believes you if you say, I'm great, I'm the best, I care for you, and I'm aggressive, all right? Everybody says that. And when you talk about yourself that way, people just, they don't even hear it. But I want you to, that's like a first major mindset shift that we have is moving into what business are we really in? We deliver legal services, yes. We deliver excellent legal services, yes. But we do so by not being shy about making ourselves celebrities to our market, okay? To our tribe or to our herd. We're going to show you lots of different ways to do that. This is a little B-roll in our marketing studio. We shoot tons and tons of videos. If you haven't, you ought to go to legalacademyvideos.com at some point. Don't do it right now while we're talking. You will see hundreds. And if you go back on YouTube, you'll see some of my old, crappy, we call them prisoner of war videos. Okay, they're there. All right. Today we've got a cool studio. But even something I'm just showing you here, it's so simple. But when Colin gets finished with it, it looks really, really cool. And we'll talk about effective video. I also run a local mastermind group. So these are not lawyers. These are small biz owners who I have identified or who have self-identified and found their way to me. They're interested in marketing, entrepreneurship, capitalism, Dan Kennedy, and Ben Glass. And I have, why would you do this? Each of those small biz owners has a community of people who respect them, who look up to them, and who will take recommendations from them. So one of the cool things we do is have small biz mastermind meetings for a day where I share and they share back with me a lot of their marketing ideas. Another sort of principle that we live by is if you want to find great ideas for marketing, look outside of the legal industry. Find out how that hair salon that's rocking it in your area gets clients and charges premium prices. Be curious about what it is that they are doing to attract people. And then figure out a way, how could I do that in my business? I'm also the chairman of the board of directors of Love Without Boundaries. Love Without Boundaries is an organization that transforms the lives of orphaned and impoverished children in China. I got involved in that organization through our own adoption process. They do fabulous work, and a lot of our stuff, I think there's an ad actually in the back of the playbook about Love Without Boundaries. My point here, though, is that when you build a practice and a lifestyle that serves you, you have time to do things like this and to give back and to follow your passion. And we're not shy about our relationship with Love Without Boundaries. My wife Sandy has raised tens of thousands of dollars by speaking at our major two-day events from lawyers just like you. We'll have 300 or 400 in a room for Love Without Boundaries. All right, so now where does this info that you're going to get from us today, where does it actually come from? And it's not like me sitting in a corner reading a bunch of marketing books and trying to figure out how to regurgitate it. First, everything we show you, we actually use, okay? We may not be using all of it full-time 100%, but we've used it, we've tested it, we understand we believe we understand what works and what doesn't work. I sit in the middle of a giant laboratory, actually, and I run several groups. One, this Lawyer Mastermind Group, which is about 25 firms across the country in non-competing areas, so you're not in there with a competitor. We meet in person 3 times a year for 2 days. We just were in Baltimore last Thursday and Friday, where everything is put on the table in a confidential fashion. Everything from dollars to wages to marketing techniques to what's going on the internet and exchange. So a lot of what we learn from that group and what others are doing, we retell without breaching any confidences in our newsletters, on our calls, and then events like this. We also have coaching groups, 7 of them now. These are all led by full-time practicing attorneys who have great practices in each of these areas. Where did I find these attorneys? I found them from my mastermind group, because as I said earlier, what happened is we started to attract really smart people, even though they weren't PI. So they would say, a lot of lawyers will say to me, Ben, I'm an estate planning lawyer, will your stuff work for me? I go, yeah, it will. The folks who lead these groups, they didn't actually ask that question, they just invited themselves into our groups because they realized that we're dealing with human beings. So what will work in a particular specialty practice will most definitely work in a different practice. We may tweak the language. We need to know what it is those prospects are most concerned about and most worried about. But it definitely will work. We have some B2B lawyers. One of our lawyers in our mastermind group, Charles Nicola, is a national franchise lawyer. Really, several years ago, left his firm because his part of the practice was getting so big, has moved into one space, which quickly now he has outgrown. And his clients are all people with good ideas who want to franchise their idea, or people who want to buy franchises. So we have mainly consumer niches, but also we don't actually have a commercial law niche, but we've got lawyers who are members of Great Legal Marketing who market to other companies. Now, to be fair, not everybody likes what I do, and not everybody agrees with me. The little yellow book is my little irreverent response to these folks. A couple weeks ago, I spoke in Fairfax. So I'm in Fairfax, right? Fairfax Bar Association. That's me. It's like courthouse is right across the street. Earlier in the winter, they said, hey, will you come and do a marketing thing for our young lawyers? Of course, I said, yeah, happy to. On the day before the event, in the morning, we get an urgent message from the president of the Fairfax Bar Association who says, I need to talk to Ben. It's imperative that he must call me back today before he speaks tomorrow. I'm thinking, not much good coming out of this, all right? So 5:30 in the afternoon, the call is set up, and Ed Weiner, the president of the Fairfax Bar Association, gets on and goes, I just noticed that you're speaking to our young lawyers tomorrow. I said, okay, good. You read your own stuff. He says, and I have great concern. I'm very concerned about some of the stuff you say. I've read your marketing materials. Some of the stuff you say is not consistent with the core values of the Fairfax Bar Association. I said, okay. What do you want me to do? He goes, I'm just very concerned. I say, Ed, I got other stuff I can do tomorrow, all right? You can disinvite me. Are you disinviting me? Well, no, we don't want to disinvite you, but we just want to make sure that you don't tell those young lawyers that it's a waste of their time to join bar committees as a way of advancing their practice. Now, that actually is a misquote of one of my philosophies. My philosophy is that if we're going to spend an hour, I got a lot more efficient ways to do it than to go volunteer at the 5K committee if you're talking about building your practice. So he's read part of my stuff. So I promise I won't say that. Well, next day, actually during the Q&A, one of the kids raised his hand and goes, what do you think about the value of joining committees? I'm sure this is a setup call, right? So I give him an answer that's consistent with what I told Ed I would do. But not everybody likes me. But one of the guys who was at that event was an assistant bar counsel for the Virginia State Bar. So he's a guy, part of his job is to monitor lawyer advertising. He was doing the 1-hour talk on the pitfalls of lawyer advertising, which I always love. But he actually is a pretty cool guy. And after the event, he said, you know, Ben, you're a gifted speaker, writer, and lawyer, and you're a credit to the profession. I would certainly want you in my camp where I'm in need of a marketing plan as a private practitioner. And I thought that was pretty cool. And he actually said to me privately that, that my talk inspired him to want to go back into the private practice of law. So I guess having imprimatur from the Virginia State Bar is pretty cool.